All right, ladies and gents, we are going to go get started with Q3 Week 7, SAN 501. You only have 2 exit tickets this week, so here's the first. All right. Which is the most likely reason? So this is SAN 501. This is the second time you've had this standard. So the first thing here is read the question. And then you're going to find the variables or the topic in the passage, and you need to relate it to the scientific method. So that's independent-dependent controls hypothesis, and then pick the answer that best aligns to the scientific method. All right. Number 1, which is the most likely reason the scientists chose to measure volume in milliliters for both experiment 1 and 2? So if you see when you're looking at these questions, if it's asking about why an experiment was designed like this is, and you see both, that should hint to you that it's talking about a control. So measuring in milliliters for both of these was a control. So let's look at our answers. So that the concentrations could be easily compared to each other, so that the concentrations could not be easily compared, to study the effects of units of measurement on acid strength, study the effects of acid strength on units of measurement. Okay, units of measurement was not the y-axis here, so that's not what our dependent variable is going to be, so I can cross off both C and D. Now, do we want to be able to compare these experiments or not compare them? Most of the time we want to be able to compare something, so that's going to be A. That's our answer for number 1. All right, number 2. In the experiment 1 and 2, the solutions were of equal concentration. That's, again, going to be a control. So which answer here talks about controls? The conductivity would be maximized. Researchers could compare color and conductivity unequally. Equal and unequal don't match. Cross off A. Researchers could study the effect of titration on conductivity for 2 different acids. Researchers could study the effect of conductivity on titration for 2 different acids. All right, remember our strategy. These 2 answers are almost the same. So we pick between these 2. So let's go back. What is our y-axis? I know it's blurry on this page, but when I post it online, that y-axis is conductivity. So that means it's going to be the effect on. That means it's our dependent, so study the effect of blank on conductivity. Conductivity has to come second because it's the y-axis, because you always phrase this to study the effect of x on y. So the answer to that one is C. All right, according to the passage, which of the following is true about the design of experiment 1? 100 milliliters of acetic acid was used. Nitrazine yellow was added after each drop of HCl. Nitrazine yellow was added to 100 milliliters of HCl. Conductivity was measured for the solution of acetic acid. Experiment 1. A drop of nitrazine yellow solution was added to a flask containing 100 milliliters of HCl. So, boom. Instantly see that matches the first line. All right, number 4. The variable directly manipulated between experiment 1 and 2 is. So the variable directly manipulated, that's the independent variable between experiment 1 and 2. So what this is saying, when you see something like this, that means experiment 1 and experiment 2 have the same procedure. And what was the difference between these 2 experiments? So not the independent variable in 1 and the independent variable in 2. What was the difference between these 2 experiments? So, experiment 1 was repeated except the acetic acid, and this one we know is HCl, and this one is acetic. So, nitrazine yellow, no. Acid amount, that's going to be your distractor because it talks about acid, but the answer is C, acid type. And for our final question, which of the following best describes the purposes of experiment 1 and experiment 2? Now, the important thing about this on the ACT is you always need to answer in order. So let's read through this. Experiment 1, the scientists studied the conductivity and titration of acetic acid. In experiment 2, the scientists studied the conductivity and titration of HCl. That's a no, because that is experiment 2. So let's see if we can find this answer elsewhere. Experiment 1, HCl. Experiment 2, acetic acid. Boom, my answer is B. And that's it.